What's up guys? So today I'm doing a little Apple collection video because I actually had this planned for a while and I just didn't do it until now. Starting off, we have my iMac G4 from 2002. I made a video about it, but I haven't really turned it on since, so yeah, it just kind of sits there. Moving on, we have a 2004 iPod mini first generation. The battery doesn't last long on this thing, as you can see. It's also a 4GB model. You can tell it's a first gen because it has 2004 on the bottom of it. Here's an iPod video that I have. It's 80GB and it works pretty good. I just have some random songs on here. I have Pierce the Veil music on here, so that's fun. I also have some TV shows like Zoey 101. I remember being bored one day and just wanting to play one of the games on here, like the Brick game. Playing iPod games, let's go! Here's a 2006 MacBook. This has an Intel Core 2 Duo, 4GB of DDR2 RAM, and it runs OS X Leopard. I would power it on, but I don't feel like finding the charging cable for it, so yeah. Here we have a 16GB iPhone 3G. It works, and it runs iOS 3.1.2, I think. Yes, it does. It runs iOS 3.1.2. I jailbroke it because I have no SIM. That's how I activated this thing. Messing with old iOS is always fun, so maybe I'll do a video messing with old iOS stuff. Here's a 32GB iPhone 3GS, and the battery doesn't really last long on it at all. I've had this iPhone for 9 years, almost 10 years. This was also my grandfather's, and they were just using it as like a little iPod player after they upgraded. It runs iOS 6.1.6, which is, you know, the latest version it can run. Here's a 16GB CDMA iPhone 4. It runs iOS 7.1.2. I got this almost 4 years ago because I wanted an iPhone 4 to collect because the last one I had I destroyed. It has a white back on it because, I don't know, it came like that. Here's an 8GB CDMA iPhone 4. It runs iOS 6.1.3, plugging it in. And yeah, iOS 6, and yes, it is the same one. Now we're moving on to the 4S. Here's a 16GB iPhone 4S. Runs iOS 6.1.3, and it has some games on it. How are you doing today?
I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. And here's this iPhone 4S. It's a 32GB iPhone 4S. This one is 16 gigs. It also runs iOS 6.1.3, and it also has some games installed onto it, even that deleted version of Minecraft. Here is a 32GB iPhone 5 that I've had for a long time, and it runs iOS 10.3.4. It's in the beautiful slate black color, look at that. And here's a 16GB silver iPhone 5. This one runs iOS 8.4.1, but it's dead, so. Here is an 8GB iPhone 5C that I've made a video about. Okay, it's not alive anymore. A lot of these phones are dirty, I need to clean them, but oh well. This runs iOS 10. I'm sure you've seen the video I made on it. If you haven't, you should check that out. This phone is probably the worst iPhone they've made, by far. Like, it is awful. 8GB suck, and this phone was kinda still expensive for what the market was for. Here's a 16GB iPhone 5S. This is running the latest version of iOS 12, I believe, but I haven't charged it in a long time, so I don't actually know if that's the case anymore, because I'm pretty sure they still update iOS 12. Here's a 64GB iPhone 6. No, the battery's dead on this one too. Wow, it's dead on every single device I have. Interesting. This is running I think the latest version of iOS 12 as well, but I could be wrong. Here is a 32GB iPhone 6S, which I don't really use this that much, but it runs iOS 15. It's not the latest version, I think it's like 15.4 or something, I don't know. I think they're on 15.7 now. This was given to me by a friend in 2022, and I've had it as like a backup until I got something else, which I'll show later. Here is my 32GB iPhone SE first generation. I really should clean these f***ing devices. This was my phone from 2018 to 2019. This was my main device until I got an iPhone XR. This is running iOS 15.0.1. I have not updated it past that, and I actually don't really use this phone, so yeah. Here's a 32GB iPhone 7. This is actually not set up, and also the battery's dead. This runs iOS 15, and I'm not sure what else to do with this. I have a lot of devices that I just don't really use, but I have them in my collection. Here is a 128GB iPhone 7 Plus. This is running iOS 15.7 point something, and also the battery's also dead on this one too. They're all pretty much dead except for a couple devices. Here's a 64GB iPhone 8. This is running iOS 16. One of the latest versions of iOS 16. Battery's also dead on this one too. I don't really charge these things. I also need new lightning cables because all of mine are breaking, and I really need to buy like a bulk lot of lightning cables to charge these things. Now here is a 256GB iPhone 8 Plus. This is what I use as a backup to my main phone nowadays. It's still a really useful device, and the fact that it has, I'm pretty sure, 3 gigs of RAM running iOS 16, it's really smooth. I really like the glass design on the back and just the dual cameras. It just looks so pretty. And for the last of the iPhones is a 64GB iPhone XR. Yes, I have furry stickers on it, I don't care. It runs iOS 17. This is the only device that I have that runs iOS 17. You may think that my 14 Pro runs iOS 17, but that's actually not the case. As you can see, it runs iOS 16.1.1. Well, I might as well show it because I brought it up. Here is my iPhone 14 Pro. This is my main phone and what I use every day. Yeah, the screen protector's already f***ed up on it. I forgot to show this off, but here's a 32GB iPod Touch 5th generation. I got this back in 2012 for Christmas, when I was 7 years old. This was my childhood device for like 5 years. And then in 2017 I got my first iPhone SE and that broke, so I got another one. Now we're moving on to iPads. Except my iPads I will no longer have soon, because I'm selling them. Yeah, making profit. Here's an iPad 1st generation. I'm gonna be selling this to one of my friends, Xvolt Tech. Yeah, none of these devices are actually charged. It's 64GB, so that's gonna be fun for them to mess with. I already wiped it, so yeah, there's nothing on here. Here's a 16GB iPad 2. I also wiped this. It's Wi-Fi only. As for where I'm gonna be selling all these things, I'm gonna be selling them on OfferUp. Here's a 16GB iPad Mini 4. Is the battery charged? No, it also died. It's a cellular version too, so someone can have fun with that as well. Here's a mid-2010 MacBook Pro. This does work, but it has no battery, so I have to keep it plugged in, but I also don't feel like plugging this one in. It runs OS 10.8 Mountain Lion, so it's pretty old. And here's a 2010 iMac just sitting in my closet. I don't know, I didn't have anywhere else to put it. And last but not least, here's my 2015 MacBook Pro, which is my editing machine. Not my main computer, that one's right here. Well, that completes the Apple Collection video. If you guys have enjoyed and you want to see more, please give it a like and maybe even subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.